Well, hello and welcome. We start dancing before we even come on. It's Leading Ladies, Leaving Legacies. And every Wednesday, almost every Wednesday, we come to you and we bring you a featured guest speaker. I am Joy Ruffin, and the work that I do is as a leadership and a signature style specialist, executive producer, TV host, podcaster, and speaker. But today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite subjects, and I bet it's yours. Welcome. Thank you for being here. We started off the week talking about money. Money, 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 money. Remember that song? Well, I do. That was kind of in my generation. Money, 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 money. But today we're talking about something else that's akin and aligned with money, but we're going to talk about it in the best way, and that's about love. You talk about money, you talk about love, you talk about power, never-ending conversation. It's great to have you here with us because the intention is always to bring you featured guest speakers that will share with you their vision and what they're all about and hopefully ignite something in you. So my friends, you know that I could go on and on and on because love, we all crave it. You can't hide from it because it's there, but how is it showing up? And that's what we're going to talk about today. So sit back and relax. I want to tell you a little bit about our featured guest speaker, Alyson Williams. By the way, she lives in a place that I visited several times and I happen to love it. This is as an aside, Australia. So it's a different day and a different time there, but she agreed to be with us here today. Alyson she labels herself as a self-love alchemist. I love that. I could go on and on and on telling you a lot about her. But all I want you to do is we're going to chat and get to know each other a little bit more because we both belong to a great group together, team, community that we're a part of. But just sit back and relax, whatever that means to you, and help me welcome our featured guest speaker today, Alyson Williams. Come on up, as they say. Alyson, great to have you here.
Thank you, Joy. I'm so happy to be here. I always love being in your company, as you know.
Oh, well, I think we have a mutual admiration society. I think I say that all the time, but it's true because the people that I meet are like-minded. Mm-hmm. And your topic thrills me in so many ways. But let's start off with something that you gave me. First off, we're going to talk about love, self-love, which is where we began. But how did you come up with that trademark name that you have, BESTT? Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. Well, I believe self-love is the key to all our success because they say success is an inside job. So if you don't love yourself, it's really hard for anyone else to love you or like you. And in business, we talk about know, like, and trust. And it's not just in business that people need to know, like, and trust you. It's all in all your relationships. And I feel that the most important relationship is the one you have with yourself. And that can be the hardest in many ways. And that's why I love to work with people to get them on what I call my best journey, which is belief systems, empowerment, strategies, and self-love, and transform to thrive.
Well, I think that's it. I think there's no question about it. And Alyson, the reason that I'm excited, and I get excited very easily, especially when it resonates with my heart and soul, which is what your work does. And that's why we are aligned. Because we all hear it has to emanate from the inside, but yet somehow we've gone amiss, far too many of us. And I have to admit that I was one of them when I started in the fashion business. And now I see how we have to take it into another direction. How did you come to this? And what does self-love, why does it matter? And what does it really mean to you and the work that you're doing now?
Well, Joy, like everyone, I've had my story, so to speak. And I changed from being outgoing and confident to being submissive and anxious and loss of all confidence. Mm-hmm. And I was lucky to have a mother that instilled in us as we were growing up, self-confidence and belief in yourself. And once I was able to come back to who I was, I really wanted to help other people who didn't maybe have the same, background I had with my mom, to have that self-belief. And that's why I came up with, let me help the world to love themselves. Because when you do love yourself, you show up differently. You treat people the way you want to be treated. And because you value yourself, you also value others. And that's why, to me, self-love is just the ultimate way of being.
Love that, Alyson, because I've admitted on this channel here several times, and I'll say it again, with no blame. because I understand it now. I didn't have the type of mother that you have. My mother was very narcissistic. I didn't even know what that word meant and what it was about until I began to go through my own awakening, and it continues today. But when you have that, this is why you say helping people to overcome the barriers of the self-impostor syndrome. That's so major. How did you and how do you do that work? How do you get them to understanding of how we have to reprogram ourselves? Because that's been my journey, Alyson. It's been my journey from the womb to now.
For sure. And I think that's the case with most of us, Joy. It doesn't matter what our story has been. We all have baggage one way or another, because
Right.
that's part of being human, right? And in fact, as humans, there are three universal fears. We all fear not being loved, we all fear
Mhm.
not being worthy, and we
Mhm.
all fear not belonging. And that comes from our DNA from the time we were in caves. And we needed to be part of the tribe to belong and to feel worthy to belong to the tribe. Otherwise, you'd be shunned, and then you die. You die because of the weather or predators, or you weren't able to get enough food for yourself. So this
Mhm.
need to belong is now where we still are. We still have that need, but unfortunately, we do it in maybe not helpful ways. Like we want other people to approve us, and it doesn't work like that. If you don't feel good about yourself, you're going to be putting out those vibes of not good enough, and people are going to tap into that.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness gracious. Who said that many moons ago? Alyson, what you just said leads into what you gave me. It is the key. It is the key to all of the success in life, real success. Because you and I, and most of us know of so many people, so many that I still love and adore and always will, who never, they might have had the greatest gift in the whole wide world, the talent and the skill that they developed, but they didn't get to know and love themselves. So now that we know this and we're in this time of an awakening, how are you bringing forth this with the men and women that you're working with, that we have to go back to the basics and begin to get to know who we are? Where do we begin? I know my journey, and it never ends, this journey. But how do you get people to begin this journey and to know, where do you begin with the people that you're working with?
Well, firstly, I sort of say, our parents did the best they could, mostly,
Yes,
because the most important job in the world, parenthood, there's no training for, there's no school for parents. Now, of
absolutely.
course, we have programs and courses, but way back then, there wasn't anything. So they did the best they did with what they had, and they often learned from their parents who also had no clue. So
Exactly.
virtually, I love to start with forgiveness. Actually, I don't start with forgiveness, but one of the foundations is forgiveness. Forgive your parents, forgive people who hurt you, and then forgive yourself. And that's a huge journey. That's a huge journey. So that is part of one of the milestones I do, but I usually start with yourself. And I talk about 4 A's. So having the awareness that where you're at, you don't like and you want to change. Having the acknowledgement, it's there. It doesn't mean it's good or bad, it's just there and I'm acknowledging it. And
Yeah.
then having the acceptance that now that it's there, I really want to change it and know what you want to change to. And then the fourth step is action, because nothing happens without action. And when
Woo.
you take action, you want to know what you need to do, who you can enroll, and how you can get there.
Wow. I have no question marks now, Alyson, about the men and women that I align with, because as much as I give, I also gain so much. And what you just said about forgiveness, this is one of the reasons I've come to know. I know my mother did the best she could. It wasn't good enough, but no blame. Because as we began to grow and develop, we know that they meant no harm. They did the best they could. Just because it wasn't good enough, it's our assignment now to get inside and discover what we need to evolve and develop ourselves. This is why I love the work that you do. Tell us again about the 4 A's. I've labeled myself the minister of awareness, enlightenment, awareness, and awakenings, but I like your 4 A's. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so the first one is awareness. You need to
Yes.
be aware that,
Uh-huh.
there's something within you that you want to change.
Mhm.
The next one is acknowledgement. Know that it's there. It's not good or bad. It's just there, and you have to work through it. Like we talk about negative emotions. Emotions are not negative. They just bring out either
Yes.
good feelings or bad feelings. If you're
Yes.
feeling bad, you need to sit with it and let it work through you. If you shove it under the carpet, you'll trip over, right?
Uh-huh.
The,
Uh-huh.
the third one is acceptance. Know that this is how it is, and I accept that this is where I am, but I know that I want to move on. And the fourth one is action, taking the action to make a change.
I love that. I love that. You know, I do get excited. I can't help it. I guess I knew it, but how you put them together and how you've aligned them, I like that. Because what I say is that we have to begin to build, blend, and balance out everything in our lives.
Yeah.
We start ourselves after we begin to awake. So I just love that. I think that you've already explained to us in different ways what it means for the understanding our programming and what we have to do to move forward. That's where you begin with people to give them the four A steps.
Hmm.
I think that's great. And not to blame. How did you, because I'm nosy and I'm inquisitive, I heard you say your mother. How did your father fit into this equation? I'm asking you this for this reason. I'm all about the divine, masculine and feminine, because each gender has both within, right? So how
Me
did
too.
dad fit into your playbook?
Well, my father was interesting. They talk about opposites attract. So my mother was very outgoing, very vibrant. She was, a leader in the community. She belonged to lots of groups, various committees. She was vice presidents here and secretaries there and whatever. So she was high profile. My
Uh-huh.
dad, on the other hand, was an introvert. He was a really quiet man. Uh, he was confident in himself, I think, but he didn't have any ego about mum being at the front. He was happy to be in the background. And I'm the youngest of five, and my mum used to say that she never walked a sick baby because my dad used to look after the kids. And this is in a place like India where we had servants, but
Uh-huh.
mum and dad didn't have servants for the children. They looked after us themselves.
You know what you just explained in a different way, and what we all have to remember is that the different verbiage and the jargon and rhetoric that we hear in explaining anything, you gave us balance. Your mom and dad were night and day, but they balanced each other out, and that's why you came with a different viewpoint and outlook, and you do the
Yeah,
work that you do. I think
yeah.
that's bravo. Bravo for you. I really feel, and I know this to be true because you know it, why do you think, and then I'm going to take a quick little reset, but why do you think that now, not because of our generation, my generation, yours, which is different, but why is it now that we are stepping into the individuality, the originality, and the uniqueness of the self, and that knowing who we are and loving ourselves is so vital? It's always been, but why now more than ever before, Alyson?
Well, I think, with evolution, everything changes and gets better for the most part. And
Yes,
I think, we've come away from where the church and the state kind of controlled people because
yes.
most people weren't educated. But now, the more that people are getting educated, the more that people are becoming aware of that there are different ways of looking at the world. At one point, you were either creationist or you were, an evolutionist in terms of, where man came from. But I think now many people are kind of sort of melding the two in terms of they still have a religious being and following, but they might also acknowledge that science has had something to do with how we come on Earth, and that's not meant to be controversial. That's just what I've been picking up, and again, as we go through life, I think spirituality is now moving away from religion because there are
Yes.
so many other influences, Eastern religions being one, that have really come into Western life, right? So whether it's Buddhism or whether it's the Hindu sort of meditation and all that kind of stuff to really
Mhm.
get to know who we are. So I think the more people have been open to other ways of being, and
Yes.
travel and globalization has meant that we're open to other ways of being and other people's ways of thinking. I think that
Beautiful.
started it.
Beautifully said and beautifully expressed. And before we take a quick little reset, I'd like to piggyback on what you just said, because hubby and I traveled extensively several years ago, many years ago. And once in Russia, which I did not know, and what you said about church and state and education, how the spirituality of our
Mhm.
universe is changing, many of those beautiful churches that we toured, all those paintings on the walls was because people couldn't read. They had no awareness.
Yeah.
They just took, oh, that was powerful. Listen, we're going to take a quick little reset and then we're going to come back. And I want to talk about the strategies that you're using to amp up our awareness and ability to get really deep into the self love of self. In the meantime, oh, you know the drill. How about if you're not a member, joining our Facebook group, Leading Ladies, Leaving Legacy? Alyson is there. All of the featured guest speakers that we bring here belong to this group. And your assignment, I love homework, is to get with us, to join us, and to participate, to connect, to collaborate, to be about this change and this awakening that we're all about, divine feminine and divine masculine. Your vision, your mission, and your purpose, it matters. You can't make light of it or small of it because we need you. No one does anything alone. Alyson, myself, and all of these other beautiful souls that I'm getting to know, we are about the awakening, first with ourselves and then sharing that with you. Alyson and I both belong to a great community, a great group. It's called The Great Discovery. And if you're not a member and if you know nothing about it, take a screenshot or a snapshot of this, because every weeknight at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can take a link and you can go in and you can see what we're all about. And you know what's beautiful about it? We're global. And there's so much more. But take a peek into this and see how it's going to benefit you, and trust that it will. And then I'm going to put up Alyson's graphic. Take a screenshot, take a snapshot, and join her. Ask a question, and she will lead you in the right direction. And you know what? Today, we don't have time for shame, blame, or guilt. It's time to grow up and glow up. I love that expression, because we are the change makers. We are the agents of change, and you are a part of it. It's a small circle, but we need you. So join us there. Take a screenshot, take a snapshot, and join us in this group, in Alyson's group, and she's going to give you lots of information. Alyson, share with us a little bit about, I think we've touched on it in many different ways here and now, but share with us some of the strategies that you use to support people and how to amp up their beginning seeds, or mid seeds for that matter, of self-love. How are you supporting people, to men and women, to step into the new strategies that are about for us now?
Sure. So before I go into that, I just want to say, Joy, that we all have this script that we run in our head. And that often starts from something happens. So there's an event that happens.
Yes.
We call it, to use S's, I call it stuff. And then we make up a story about that. Oh, that happened, so this means something about me, right? And then we run that all the time. That becomes our script. And then we run from our script. I know most people talk about it as your story, but it's really this script, the same thing you're saying to yourself over and over. I'm a loser. I'm useless. I'm not good for anything. And often that comes from people who have been in our lives when we were young, or whatever it might be. And that's eroded who we are. So some of the ways I love to undo that, the first thing, which is super simple, is stop your negative self-talk. We all have that mean girl who says things like, oh, you idiot, when you make a mistake. That used to be me, oh, you idiot. And now I say, I'm not an idiot. Even if halfway through I'll stop myself and say, I'm not an idiot. I made a mistake, right? And this is a self-talk. So we talk to ourselves far worse than we talk to anybody else on the planet. Stop that. Start being your own BFF. Get rid of the mean girl or the mean guy in your head and be your own BFF. That's easy. Anyone can do that. The other thing is watch, and it's interesting you talk about shame, blame, and guilt, because that's what I say. Get rid of those words, the shoulds or the must, right? Or I can or I can't. Get those things to give yourself some grace. I can't at the moment, right? It's not happening at the moment. Or I haven't yet. Yet is one of my favorite words, because it means that there's change that can happen, right? So give yourself some grace. So those are two easy things you can do now. The other thing I love to do is make a list of your strengths, and tell me when to stop, Joy, because I can go on forever.
Go on.
Make a list of your strengths, and strengths are just knowledge, skills, and attitudes. So you're a beautiful soul because you're so loving and giving. That's in a way an attitude. Anybody can learn how to do that. They can model who Joy is, right? Writing is one of my superpowers. So I learned how to write, and I write well. Luckily, I had a mum who was, a great writer, and I kind of modeled her. Anybody can learn how to write. That's not. So some of the talents we're born with, but you can learn these things along the way. And just like you learned your strengths, guess what? You can also learn how to make your weaknesses not weak. So tech is not my bag, but I'm much better now at tech than I ever used to be, because I take the time to learn.
Oh, Alyson, you have touched my soul, because the way that you explained about the script and the storytelling and the negative self-talk, my journey, your journey, the journey never ends, and yet is one of my favorite words too. A mentor many, many moons ago gave me that word instead of BUT. But the beauty is, for me, the learning and awakening for me, because of not only my narcissistic mother, but my learning disabilities, and not wanting to be the pretty little stupid dumb girl sitting in the back. I had to overcome all of that. So the way that you express what you just did, it's not only for the script and the story, whatever you came with, you were given for a reason. And that awakening, however you come to it, that's your gift to share. So thank you for that. That was beautifully said. I think that there's no question about self-love matters, and it matters today more than ever before. You spoke to why. How are you, in addition to all that you just gave us, I like the BFF. That's what we have to become, and that's what real self-love is all about. Because there's so much phoniness and facade with this confidence that's not genuine, it's not real, and it's not true. Can you see and foretell and see that right away in someone, that you can guide them away from that? Because you can, when you begin to know and feel who you are, you can see it in other people, can't you?
Yeah, but for me, it doesn't matter what I feel or what I see, because I say we are all magnificent, and I actually am able to see someone else's magnificence when they can't. However, that doesn't matter. If they don't want to make the change, nothing can make them make the change.
Exactly.
So anybody who wants to change, well, I'm here to hold your hand. And as I said, I hold your hand, you take baby steps, and I give you the skills, the strategies and tools, and the confidence till you can fly by yourself. I'm not into codependence, I'm into empowerment. And empowerment is doing it for yourself, having choices, having options, and knowing that whatever I do, I'm learning. So in NLP, we say there's no such thing as failure. It's all feedback. Every time, it's not how many times you fall, it's how many times you get up. So keep on getting up, and keep on getting up. So there's always another day.
You know what, Alyson, what you just said was the hardest lesson for me to learn. And I've just undertaken that, embraced it within the past couple of years. And that is, only those who are ready for change, that you ignite something in them, that they're ready and they come to you. Otherwise, people are not going to change. And we're all at different levels, different stratas in life. And there is no blame. And we all came from that seed at one point in time, whether you believe in reincarnation or not. I believe that what you just said is more powerful than one can imagine, because people, this word pivot, change, when you're ready. But yet, your assignment and mine is to ignite something. How do you, when you meet them for that complimentary, you have to feel and sense something within them that ignites something in them that they want to be with you. Have you found that to be? Yes.
Well, many people who'd come to me have already got that. So it's not really been a problem that I've encountered. But interestingly, I'll meet people incidentally along the way, like in the supermarket line, near the cash out line of the supermarket. And I talk to anybody. I'll talk to the wall if need be, right? So I just have these conversations, and it's just getting them to see, and often they can't see it in themselves. So you can talk about someone else, right? And particularly if it's someone they love, like maybe a child. And I even use myself sometimes, depending on what it is, to sort of, talk about how, as they say, your past doesn't create your future.
Yes.
The past is gone. You only have the present, and the present will determine your future.
I love it. It's so true. It's so true. And what you just said, you need to write a book. Are you writing a book?
I have one. I have one. The skeleton of one.
Oh, well, it's going to be and it's a needed book, and the timing is, and I'm writing one myself, beginning. But your information that you're sharing, the power of it, and how you express what you just did, I hope when you get this recording, you'll hear yourself, because the pearls of wisdom that you're sharing with us, it's beyond golden. It's way beyond platinum. So I hope that you will receive that. The time flies here, and I tell you, I'm always amazed at how it goes. But when it comes to reprogramming, what is the first step that we take? I know where I began, and you said also the journey never ends. But where do we begin? How do we begin? I've asked you this several times in different ways. Yeah. What have you found to be the best beginning for most of the men and women that you're working with?
So for me, I'm always someone who I like detail, and I have lots of questions all the time. So for me, understanding is the basis. So I love to go into a little bit of understanding, how we're wired the way we are. So some of the science, if you like, so some of the psychology. So William Massey, who had the developmental stages of how we are influenced. So I also the brain, our unconscious and our subconscious, and how the brain works, the mind
Mm-hmm.
works,
Mm-hmm.
and then of course going into our programming with our parents and our families. And I just before we stop, Joy, one thing I
Yes.
do want to talk about with forgiveness. Please, forgiveness, I say, is a gift you give yourself, right?
Yes.
Forgiveness is it's like a burden we carry when we are angry or resentful or bitter.
Mm-hmm.
Get rid of that. You don't need to carry that anymore. Forgiveness of the other person doesn't mean they were right. It's not condoning. It's not saying it's okay. You're saying what you did was really horrible and I don't like it. But I'm not carrying that stuff around with me anymore because I deserve better. So forgiving them is not about them, it's about you. There's a Buddhist saying that holding on to hot coals or holding on to anger is like holding on to hot coal. The only
Mm-hmm.
person getting burnt is you. Let that coal go. And one of the other things I said is write a letter, even if the person is dead. It's not a letter to send, it's a letter to write and to purge. Get it all out. So Alyson, when you did this to me, that was horrible. This is how you made me feel. But
Yes.
guess what? I'm letting that go. So get
Wow.
it all out of your system and then write a letter to yourself because we tend to blame ourselves for everything. We kind of, because we're the center of our own universe, especially as children. So we tend to think it's all our fault. And as we continue as adults, some of that still remains. So forgive yourself as well.
I love
Grace
that.
is such a beautiful state to be in.
Love it, love it, love it. Alyson, I take you bringing to mind so many things, and I'm a perennial ongoing student as you are, and I'll be this way when I'm 120. But the semantics of words never ceases to fascinate me. The way that you explain forgiveness of self, it brought to mind two words that most people really don't get the nuance of: release and surrender. There's a difference between the two.
Yeah.
And I'm going to leave that as food for thought for you and for the audience. But I have to tell you, but when you speak to forgiveness and forgive yourself first, it brought to my mind the understanding of these two words because they're words that I grapple with until I got the handle on it for myself. So I love it. I love the work you're doing and the community that we're both a part of and the things that we're going to be doing together. The time just goes here. We have several minutes left. What takeaway, what food for thought, what do you want people who will come here for the replay and listen to? What do you want them to walk away with? What do you want the takeaway to be for them? What do you want to give them other than the complimentary that you're offering?
Mm-hmm. Basically, we are all here because we are meant to be here. And we're not meant to be here by ourselves. We're meant to be here as part of a group. And part of the group is to support each other. However, part of the other reason we're here is to be our best selves. And it doesn't matter what you've been through, you are still worthy enough to have a fabulous life.
Mm-hmm.
Own it, claim it, live it. And I'd love to help you do that. So please know that you are here for a reason and you deserve everything that you want. As they say, if you can conceive it, you can achieve it. Because if you even think about the fact that you'd like this, it means you are worthy of that. So that is something I'd like to end with.
Boy, oh boy, you are, I always knew it, but you are a powerhouse. You just said something, everything, most everything. We are all meant to be here, whatever your belief. And we're meant to be here to gain and to give. Your
Yeah,
verbiage is different, but it's the same thing,
yeah.
right? I love that, Alyson. And the work that you're doing, whatever you do, don't stop. I send you much
Thank
love,
you.
kisses, and blessings, and I'll be with you in just a second. My engineer is going to
Like,
put you in the green room.
likewise. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, thank you, thank you. My goodness. Who used to say, I think Shirley Temple, my goodness gracious. Today's conversation, like every Wednesday when we bring you a featured guest speaker, it always is to ignite something in you. And the two topics that we spoke of this week, money on Monday, and today, love, self-love, powerful. My friends, we love it when you show up. We also love when you see and view the replays. Make sure that you join us every Monday and every Wednesday because we love sharing with you the wisdom, the knowledge, and the love that we bring to be shared with you. I'm hoping, as always, for you that this will be one of the best weeks ever, that you will embrace and take in and embody all of the jewels that have been shared with you this week from the two different platforms. And I send you always, from my heart to yours, you need to put a recording on this now because it's always the same verbiage. Much, much love from my heart to yours. Be and stay well. All the best. Cheers.